Oh, friend, lean in for a moment. There's a truth here that's hard to look at, but once seen, it can set your soul on fire with clarity. I want to speak plainly to you, heart to heart, about something that many wrestle with in silence: what happens when a narcissist moves on. Now, on the outside, it looks like the narcissist has found joy, doesn't it? Maybe they're showering someone new with every ounce of charm they once threw your way. And that stings. It gnaws at your peace, makes you question your worth. But let me say this loud and clear: that new person, that shiny new supply, the narcissist doesn't love them. In fact, the truth, the raw, holy truth, is that the narcissist dislikes them too, sometimes deeply. Let's not pretend otherwise. You remember your beginning with the narcissist? Those early days when they made you feel seen, needed, chosen. That wasn't love. That was a trap dressed up as a fairy tale. It was flattery weaponized. It was manipulation wearing a smiling mask. And after that glow faded, after the music stopped and the curtains fell, what followed was confusion, control and coldness. That sweet beginning, it was never coming back. But you chased it anyway, didn't you? Because that's what they wanted. To keep you reaching for a ghost. And now, what you lived through is playing out again, only this time with someone else in your old seat. Don't let the edited pictures or public praise fool you. Behind closed doors, the same cycle has started. The narcissist's heart doesn't change. That new person, they're not winning anything. If anything, they're next in line for the storm. Now here's where it gets even heavier. Sometimes the new supply was right there, watching the chaos unfold when you were still entangled. Maybe they saw your pain, maybe they heard your cries, maybe they even flirted with betrayal in plain sight. And now they're the chosen one. Friend, and that person is not safe. In fact, they may suffer even worse. Why? Because the narcissist knows. They know who they picked. They know the kind of heart that they brought in, one willing to dance in secret, to play in the shadows. And believe me, the narcissist despises that. And they see the dishonesty and the lack of backbone. It mirrors their own shame right back to them. That reflection, it breeds contempt. You see, the narcissist is addicted to control, to dominance, to deceit. They don't just want someone to adore them. They want someone to betray with. The thrill of secrecy, the high of being deceptive, that's their drug. That's why elevating that once hidden supply, putting them on display, isn't about love. It's about vengeance. It's about showing you the one who questioned, the one who pleaded, the one who asked, who is this person? It's their final twisted performance. And you're hurt. You're shocked. That's the encore they live for. But let me be absolutely clear, this isn't about you not being enough. You were more than enough. You were real. You loved. You gave. And for a narcissist, that kind of honesty is unbearable. They can't handle the light of it. So they replace it with someone who's easier to manipulate, someone who doesn't demand truth. But here's the good news. Yes, there is good news. Once your eyes are open to this dynamic, you are free, truly free. Because now you see the game, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That new supply, that chapter isn't a new beginning. It's a repeat. It's the same script with different cast members. And thank God you're no longer playing a role in it. You're not crazy. You were never overreacting. You were simply up against someone who thrives on chaos and calls it love. And now, with truth in your heart, you can rise. You can break the cycle. Because the narcissist, they haven't changed. And that new person, they're not the lucky one. You are. You're the one who walked away. You're the one who saw the truth. You're the one who gets to heal. Let that sink in. Let it set you free. Let me speak straight to your heart right now, because there's a storm that needs calming, and I can feel the H behind your questions. When you see the narcissist with someone new, smiling, posing, parading their so-called happiness, it can feel like a punch to the soul. But don't you be fooled by the highlight reel. That new person, that so-called fresh start, they are not living in paradise. In fact, they're walking into a furnace. And here's the twist: the narcissist doesn't trust them. Not even a little. That's why the treatment they're getting, behind closed doors, is often colder, harsher, more vicious than what you went through. Why? Because the narcissist resents having to train someone all over again. They had you conditioned. You already knew the rules, already danced the dance. But this new one, they're an annoyance, a project, a placeholder. And if that new supply was tangled in the background while you were unraveling in the foreground, if they stood by silently while your spirit broke, then the narcissist holds them in even deeper contempt. Because now they have to live with someone who was willing to watch another person suffer and still step forward when called. The narcissist thinks, if you did that to them, you'll do it to me. And so the punishment begins, quiet at first, then cruel, and when it hits like thunder. You see, narcissists don't take ownership. They never say, I broke it. No, they point fingers at you, at the new supply, at the world. Even when they cheated, even when they lied, they find a way to make you the villain. And now that the new supply is in their life, they'll blame them too. Oh, you made me lose a good thing. The narcissist thinks. And so the new supply gets both barrels. The anger, the control, the scorn. So if you're watching from a distance, maybe catching glimpses on social media and wondering, why do they look so happy? Let me ask you something. Do you believe every photo you see online? Do you think that was their first shot, their only shot? No. You know better. That's a curated performance, carefully edited to stab at your peace. You were the audience when they posted that picture. You were the target, but let's go deeper. Because this is where your freedom begins. The narcissist hates the new supply, just like they hated the one before, just like they twisted their face at you when you stopped pleasing them. They don't love. They don't cherish. They consume. And when someone's usefulness fades, they grow cruel. That smile you saw, that affection you thought was real, it's a lie. And worse, it's bait. The new supply, if they were in your life before, if they knew your pain, heard your tears, and still walked into the narcissist's arms, what they're living through now is judgment in motion. Their energy's fading. Their light is dimming. You'll see it eventually. The same exhaustion in their eyes, the same hollow smile you wore when the devaluation hit. Now it's theirs. That's not karma. That's just what the narcissist does. But here, man, don't let that consume you. Your job now is to return to yourself. To remember who you were before the gaslighting, before the confusion, before you lost yourself in their chaos. Don't reach out. Don't check in. Don't analyze their photos or whisper things like, well, my silence says enough. Don't do it. They don't care what you say or don't say. Every ounce of energy you give, positive or negative, still feeds the beast. Let silence become your power, not your pain. They might try to hoover you back. They might play the sorrow card or the nostalgia card. But that's not redemption. It's repetition. They can't feel what you feel. They can't build what you build. There is no perfect match waiting in the wings because they can't match anyone. Connection requires depth. And they're shallow as a puddle in summer heat. So when you ask, why do they look happy now? Remember, they look happy, that's all it is. A look. An act. Just like they performed for you once, they're performing for someone else now. But you're not a performance. You're a soul, a living, breathing, healing human being. And while they keep spinning in circles, repeating the same script with different names, you get to walk out of the theater and into the sunlight. Let that be your truth today. You don't have to envy the next. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You survived. And now you're awakening. And friend, that's the beginning of everything. Let's pull back the curtain a bit more, because what I'm about to say might sting, but it'll also set something free inside you. Do you remember when you were the one they paraded? When your face was plastered across their feed like a shiny new trophy, captioned with words that made it seem like you were their dream come true. Now here's the hard truth. That display wasn't about love. It wasn't about celebration. It was about revenge. It was a message sent loud and clear to someone else. A previous partner, someone who had been discarded just before you arrived. See, narcissists have a playbook, and one of their favorite moves is turning new affection into a weapon. You were the shiny object they dangled in front of someone else's broken heart. And if you look back with honest eyes, you'll remember how often they mentioned their ex. Always in harsh tones, always as the villain. Abusive, toxic, crazy. They painted that person in dark colors so you wouldn't see the truth hiding in the shadows. But here's what's more likely: that former partner was simply someone who loved deeply, gave too much, and finally broke. The narcissist spins tales not to honor the truth, but to gain sympathy, to earn loyalty, to trap hearts. It's part of the performance. And when you were center stage, you weren't the co-star. You were the prop. Let's go deeper. Because the deception runs deep. Even while they touched you, laughed with you, whispered promises in your ear, they weren't really with you. Not fully. Their mind was still hooked on the one before. That's the part you didn't see. You were loving them in real time, while they were still replaying old scenes in their head. And no matter how long you stayed or how tightly you held on, they never truly let go of the ghost behind you. If that previous partner had depth, if they were an empath, if they radiated the kind of strength and soul the narcissist could only pretend to possess, then that person stayed in the narcissist's mind like a haunting. They don't forget. They can't. Not because they loved, but because they lost control. And losing control burns them like fire. Now hear this: if you were the empath, if you were the one with soul and vision and patience, they'll never forget you either. Not because you were convenient, not because you were perfect, but because you reflected back to them everything they wanted to be but couldn't sustain. You were the mirror. You showed them a glimpse of greatness, and that terrified them. That made them feel small. That made them run. When they left, when they jumped to the next, they thought they'd find more of what they saw in you. But they didn't. They found less. They found someone who couldn't carry the same light. And so they fall back to their level. That's what monkey branching really is, trading diamonds for dust just to stay in control. Because the closer they get to real love, the more exposed they feel, the more they hate themselves. Because real love demands something they don't have: honesty, depth, humility. That's why the mirroring fails. They can't keep reflecting your light without burning up inside. It turns into disgust. First for themselves and then for you. And eventually they walk away. Not because you were too much, but because your light was too honest for their shadow. So if you're looking at their new chapter, watching posts and pictures and perfect little captions, don't buy the lie. That's not joy. That's bait. That's not love. That's performance art. And the target of that performance, it's still you. Don't respond. Don't react. Don't give them even a flicker of the power you once gave so freely. Not even a sigh. Because every word, every click, every glance their way feeds the very hunger that consumed you once before. Yes, those pictures are fake. You know how that works. The perfect pose. The forced smile. The 25th take that finally looked happy enough. It's not real. It never was. So let go of the illusion. Let go of the fear that you've been replaced with someone better. You haven't. You were never just someone. You were someone sacred. You brought depth to a shallow game. And though they couldn't hold that light, they felt it. And they'll chase it forever now, never realizing it was never in you alone. It was in your truth. And you still carry that truth. So hold your head high. Walk forward. Don't look back. Their story is stuck on repeat. But yours is just beginning. All right, let me speak to the soul that's wary, the one who's quietly asking, did I really matter? Did I really mean something to them? Friend, you mattered more than you know. And that ache in your heart right now, the one stirring as you see the narcissist flaunt someone new like a prize on a pedestal. Let's talk about it. Not with shame, not with judgment, but with truth. First, let's put this plainly: narcissists can't bond the way you and I understand bonding. They don't attach with spirit, with depth, with anything sacred. No, what they do is mirror. They study you, reflect your light back at you, and for a while, you believe it's real. But real love, that takes presence. That takes honesty. That takes a kind of vulnerability the narcissist just can't carry. So when they move on and make it seem like they found the one, I promise you they haven't. Because they can't. What's wild, what's heartbreaking and ironic is that they may feel closer to you once you're gone. Why? Because the lies they told themselves about you start to fade. The false accusations, the twisted stories they told others, and maybe even told you, start to lose power. And slowly, painfully, they begin to remember the truth. They remember your kindness, your strength, your warmth. And that memory haunts them. It haunts them because the new person doesn't carry what you did. But here's the kicker: they'll never tell you this. They won't say, I made a mistake. They won't ask for forgiveness. Narcissists don't do closure. They don't admit wrongs. Instead, they'll try to recreate you. They'll try to mold the new one into a poor imitation of what they lost. Or worse, they'll go out hunting for another you, hoping to find the same radiance in someone else, and failing every time. And I know you're scrolling, maybe late at night, and you see that photo. The hair done just right, the smile, the caption dripping with happiness, and your chest tightens. You wonder if you were the problem. You wonder if they're better now. But I need you to hear me. That photo wasn't for them. It was for you. That pose, that outfit, that look. It's bait. They dressed up to pierce your heart. They posted that picture to awaken your doubt. It's not about the person beside them. It's about the person who's still living rent-free in their mind. You see through it. Don't be fooled. And if you're an empath, if you feel deeply, love deeply, live deeply, then friend, you were their most powerful source of supply. You brought something sacred to a soul that feeds on the superficial, and when they lost you, they lost a mirror too bright for their shadow. That's why they spiral. That's why the Hoovers come years later, sometimes 4 years, 6 years, a decade. Not because they've grown, but because they've lost what they can't recreate. That's the bitter truth. And I'll be honest with you, my own journey wasn't clean. I stayed too long. I made excuses. I thought their childhood trauma gave them a pass, and I believed their pain excused their cruelty. I was wrong. Many people are hurt. Not all of them hurt others. And maybe you're wondering, what if the new supply is also toxic? What if it's another narcissist? Then let me tell you what happens. The circus begins. Because now you've got two people who both control, both playing games, and both feeding on chaos. And in that mess, the narcissist won't find peace. They'll find emptiness. Because two broken wells don't make a river. That's when they'll miss you most. When they realize that what they're getting now isn't love. It's noise. And noise doesn't heal. Noise doesn't inspire. Noise doesn't hold space the way your love once did. So please don't be fooled by photos. Don't measure your worth against filters and carefully staged illusions. Don't compare yourself to the mask they're wearing today. Because you're not a mask. You're not pretend. You're real. You showed up. You gave your all. And they lost. So, what now? Now you heal. Now you take back the pieces of yourself they tried to steal. Now you remember that you were the light all along, and let them watch you rise, not with bitterness, but with power. Let them see the one thing they'll never understand, what it means to be truly free. If this stirred something in you, share it. Speak it. Let your voice remind someone else that they are not alone in this. And most of all, keep walking forward, because your best days aren't behind you. They're waiting just ahead. You're not what they said you were. You're more. So much more.